now presenting the honor guard from the Holland Police Department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. And our first presenter today is Diane Quaker, the director of the Herrick District Library, where we're at today.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your patience. And I know it's a little cold in here. It's okay, it'll warm up, I promise. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Herrick District Library, and we are so glad that you are here. I wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you. A few months ago, one of my pastor friends asked us to introduce ourselves and to say, what is one of our passions? And one of my passions is stories, and that goes well with being a librarian because I like to read and listen to and write and think about stories. I also read a book recently that said stories are one of the things that make us uniquely human. There is no other creature on earth that can think like we do about stories or tell our stories or weave ourselves into stories. So stories are huge and so important. Today you're going to hear a few stories, and I hope you have heard each other's stories as well and continue to tell each other your stories. But you're going to hear some stories. Stories make a difference because they help us become part of each other's story. We listen, we grow, we learn from each other's stories. Some of our beliefs and thoughts are challenged, and we are better off for hearing each other's stories. This does not mean that your story needs to change. Your culture, your songs, your beliefs don't need to change because you're becoming a citizen. In fact, share those things with us so that we may become part of your story and you ours as well. We look forward to hearing those stories. We're so glad you're here. Congratulations and welcome.
And our next speaker is Tim American, the Director of DEI, Grand Rapids Catholic Central Schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. In addition to being able to work with students in Catholic schools, I had the fortune of being on the board as a board member here at the Herrick District Library, and that's kind of really what I just want to talk about is just like, your engagement, your involvement. You've come this far, really go forward in really serving community and country. Despite all the wonderful diversity, various circumstances, and different paths you've been taken individually to this moment, you each now have one commonality stronger than all of that, and that's the bond of citizenship. American labor leader and civil rights activist Cesar Chavez said, "We don't need perfect political systems, we need perfect participation." So with the privileges of your earned citizenship and the benefits and rights afforded with it, comes a set of formal and informal obligations. But perhaps there's no more important obligation than participation in the democratic process of voting, civic engagement, and service to others. The United States is a country like no other, in that its people are a snapshot of our world, and our ability to connect cultures, religions, languages, and values into one cohesive nation. So no matter where you were born or where you come from, where you currently live or choose to live, your national origin, culture, language, and or story, these are all valuable and important parts of this community. Learn the customs and traditions of those around you while sharing your gifts and talents and customs and traditions as well with others. Our strength is in our diversity. Our freedoms are rooted in participation and equality. Each of you has done something special in seeking citizenship that people like me take for granted almost every day. Continue to be leaders and defenders of this. Despite our superficial differences and seemingly polarizing opposite political views, we have much more in common with each other, and that is what should be our focus as we live our best lives together here in America. Continue to move us forward as a country, a state, a city, and as people, and truly make this world a better place for all. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Deborah Van Dunen, the Associate Professor of English Education at Hope College.
Hello and welcome and congratulations. It is such an honor for me to be here. I'm a professor at the college that's just down the road, and Diane really should be a professor because she talks so beautifully about stories, but that's something that my research and scholarship focuses on is literature and stories. And one of the classes I teach at Hope College centers around immigration. And my students and I study immigration stories of people who come to the United States, historically and currently. And I am changed because of what I have learned from those stories. They say that professors sometimes teach their students things, but I have the argument that professors learn far more from their students than what their students learn from them. And so in my class, we watch movies, we read books, we invite speakers, local immigrants to come and to share their journeys and stories with us. And the stories are so diverse. People come to the United States, you all have come to the United States for really different reasons. And there's beauty in learning about complicated and complex stories and journeys that each of you and other immigrants to the U.S. have been on. A third of my students at Hope who took that class were immigrants or from immigrant families. And their personal stories and feedback and conversation really enhanced our class, and I'm changed because of it. So I want to welcome you as a professor who teaches about immigration, but I also want to speak to you and welcome you as someone who comes from an immigrant family. You see, my parents came as young children from the Netherlands, and they grew up in a country that was not their own. Their parents did not speak English at the time, they spoke Dutch. And And so I grew up learning to celebrate Dutch traditions, as well as traditions in a new country. And I like to think that some of my better qualities I have because of what I've learned from my parents as immigrants. How much courage it takes to be in a new country. How much perseverance it takes to learn new ways of doing things. And so for those of you who have children and are immigrants, from a child of an immigrant, your children will learn a lot from you. And so I love to ask my Becca, my grandmother, stories of what it was like when she first came. And some of those stories are hard. And she cries a little bit, and I cry a little bit, but they're also beautiful. And she and my papa, my grandfather, are so grateful for the opportunities they had because of immigrating. Lastly, I want to welcome you and celebrate with you because I am a U.S. immigrant. I attended college from Canada. I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I attended college in Grand Rapids, Michigan, not intending to stay. However, I fell in love with someone from the United States. He was from California, and he grew up with palm trees and beaches, where I grew up with snow and igloos. Not really, but we fell in love and we got married, and we decided to make the United States our home. And so we have lived in Holland, Michigan for the past 20 years, and we have 4 children. And 9 years ago, I decided to officially become a U.S. citizen. It was a big step, and I have not regretted it. And so like you all, I had to take that citizenship test. That was hard. I had to study a lot. I had to wait and wade through lots of paperwork and had some frustrations along the way. But I made it, and so I was in a ceremony just like this. My 4 kids were in the back making too much noise. And when I walked across the stage, which you all will do, they yelled and cheered so loudly that it made everyone in the group laugh. So please feel free to be loud when it's time for your family members to come across. And so I speak to you as someone who is still trying to learn what it means to be a U.S. citizen. I remember when I first crossed the border back into Canada and showed my U.S. passport. It was a big deal. I remember when I checked the box on something that said I was a U.S. citizen. And I remember voting for the first time. And it's been really beautiful to show my kids that it's something that I don't take for granted, that it is a right and a privilege and responsibility for anyone who is who is a citizen. And so I just want to encourage you, as someone who is also trying to learn American history. My 12-year-old thinks he knows far more about Alexander Hamilton than I do. But as someone who's trying to learn just as much as you all will be and are, welcome. I'm excited for you to contribute to this American story. My family and I love traveling across the United States. It's a beautiful country geographically and beautiful in terms of people. I am forever changed and so deeply grateful for the Americans that I have grown to love, call my own, and learn and shape from. So congratulations, I'm so thrilled to see you walk across the stage today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Keith Van Beek, City Manager of the City of Holland.
And I also get to welcome you here this day and say congratulations. And as explained, my name is Keith Van Beek, and I'm the city manager, which means I work in local government. In fact, right across the road from here is City Hall, which is where I work every day. And we are just so pleased that, although I know that possibly none of you are from Holland, you're from this greater region. All right, we got a Hollander here, awesome. We are so pleased that this big step is happening right here. So again, welcome. You know, as you've heard from others, this day is personal and important to me in my life too, because I married an immigrant. And it was about 20 years ago that I was sitting in the crowd and was waiting to cheer and be excited for my wife when she finalized her process. And I know from going through that process that it is a commitment. It's a lot of work, and a lot of time, a little bit of money. But I just want to say thank you. But I want to say thank you not only to those of you that have personally gone through it, but also for the people in the back of the room that have probably lived that experience and cheered you on through that process too. So thank you and congratulations to all of you. I want to share a few thoughts about this day for all of you and what this means from a local government guy, okay? Tim spoke very nicely about that this country isn't perfect, and that from a federal perspective, the national government or states, that sometimes there's a lot of disagreement and division and all of that. You know, in local government, we like to think that we're not just a mini federal government working through those things, but we really work on each and every day trying to make our communities better for the people that live and work and play and visit there. And I take that very seriously. I know the people that I work with every day take that very seriously. You have a lot of rights now, or in a handful of minutes when you become official, right? Which is exciting, and I'm sure that that's a really big reason of why you've gone through this process. I would really like to encourage, but also challenge you too, to think about some of the responsibilities that comes through that, and especially from a local government perspective. So a few of those thoughts of what I'd like to see you think about in your community. First of all, we need to hear your voice. So if there's something happening in your community that could benefit from your perspective and your voice, please use your voice. Now I know we've talked wonderfully about stories, and sometimes that's hard to do, and not everyone likes to use their voice in that way, but consider that. Figure out how to use your voice in those situations. But if you don't want to use your voice, you can get involved. And you can get involved in other ways. The most basic of ways, which is really crucial and critical, is to vote. And it's not just voting, you know, about those big political figures at the national and the state level. There's always people running to just add to their community locally, or there's important questions wherever it is that you live. You know, and I also like to remind people that this is the civics professor in me. I always have to say this. You are about to become citizens of this nation, but you also will be citizens of this state. And within this state, there's 83 counties, and you're going to be a citizen of a county. And within that county, you're also going to be a citizen of either a city or a township or a village, which means there's lots of opportunity for involvement and to use your voice and get involved. I find that people that figure out how to get involved in their community add to the richness of the community in which they live. And I know that each and every one of you will add to the richness of the communities in which you find yourself. And those communities need you as much as you need them. So please figure out in the coming days and weeks and years, how can you get involved in your community and get better? But most importantly today, congratulations and welcome.
As I mentioned before, my name is Teresa Brooks, and I'm an Immigration Services Officer out of the Detroit Field Office. I conduct interviews most days, or help people with questions and answer, emails that come through. And this is one of the best jobs that I've ever had. Today we have 58 applicants coming from 25 different countries. Just think about that. 25 countries across the entire world are represented in just this one room, just in the first couple rows of people. I'm like, where else can somebody work and be exposed to this many different cultures and different types of people? I'm really blessed to be able to work here, and I appreciate you all sharing this with me and with our applicants. At this time, I'm going to call out the countries where our applicants are currently citizens of, at least for a few more minutes, until you naturalize. As I call the country that you're a citizen of, I ask that you please stand and remain standing until all of the countries have been called. We have one person today from Afghanistan. We have one applicant from Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have one person from Brazil. We have 7 people from Burma. 4 people from our neighbors to the north, Canada. 2 people from Congo, Kinshasa. We have 1 applicant from Croatia. 5 people from Cuba. 1 person from El Salvador. 1 from Ethiopia. 1 person from Germany. 2 from Guatemala. 1 from Haiti. 1 person from India. 2 people from Laos. I have a grand total of 9 from Mexico. 1 person from the Netherlands. 1 from Peru. 2 people from the Philippines. 1 from Rwanda. 1 from Spain. 2 from Syria. 2 people from the United Kingdom. 7 people from Vietnam. And 1 person from Zambia. Did everybody wake up today and think that they would see people from 25 different countries? I didn't. Alrighty, folks may have a seat. I just wanted to give a big shout out, thank you to the Herrick District Library for having us today and for hosting this great event. It's a beautiful library. I actually started my career working at a library in high school, and then I kept in the book world and worked in a bookstore for a whole bunch of years before I eventually found my way over to USCIS. So just look around you at the people sitting next to you, in front of you, behind you real quick. We know we have 25 different countries represented. Each of you comes from a different part of the world. Each of you has their own reasons for coming to the United States. Some of you may have come here to flee tyranny or to seek refuge. Maybe you came here to join your family or your loved ones. A job might have brought you to the United States. Maybe you came here as a student, like one of our guest speakers did. Perhaps your parents brought you here when you were a child, and now that you're an adult, you decided for yourself that this is going to be your home forever. And perhaps you came here to seek better opportunities for yourselves and for your children. Whatever the reasons that you're here today, all of you are here now for the exact same reason: to become citizens in this place that each of you now call home. All of you had to, before you naturalized, you had to study, right? You had to fill out forms, you had to ask, what do I put on this one? What does this question mean? Maybe you had to learn how to speak English, or to read and write English. You had to study about the United States, our history, our form of government, some of the responsibilities that you'll have as citizens. And in a few moments, each of you is going to join me in becoming a U.S. citizen. And with that citizenship, you'll be granted certain rights, freedoms, and privileges. Talk about momentous. This past weekend, I actually was visiting my aunt and uncle in Ohio, about a bunch of hours from here, because it's a lot further from Detroit. And I was able to actually see my grandmother's naturalization certificate. I knew she came over from Canada when she was a little girl, like 6 years old. But that was the first time I had actually seen her certificate in person. She naturalized in Detroit in the same office that I'm working at now, almost 80 years ago. You know, so I'm like, you know, just seeing that for the very first time and then coming here really just puts it into perspective. And soon you will get home, have your certificate, and be able to share it with your, you know, show it to your friends, your families, tell them your journey. Like, I'm sure it's a great journey. But it starts today when you become U.S. citizens. So you'll be granted certain rights and privileges. But with citizenship also comes a lot of responsibilities. You're expected to give your allegiance to this country above any other. You're expected to respect and protect our Constitution in this country from any threats. One of the big responsibilities of citizenship that I take personally is to register to vote and to vote in upcoming elections so that your voice can be heard. For the last 12 years or so, every single election that rolls around, I work at one of the precincts. I'm the person that checks your ID, makes sure you filled out the form correctly, and I hand ballots out. And in just a few weeks, all of you, once you get home, register to vote, you'll be able to take part in that for the first time in the United States, to cast your vote, make your voice heard. And then the last responsibility of U.S. citizens is to serve on a jury when you're called to do so. Our court system relies on a jury of peers. Soon you will be the peers. So if you get a jury summons, go to jury service. It's not really fun, but it's a duty, and we should all take part in that. Nothing about the oath that you're going to take today, however, says that you can't also keep the heritage, your heritage. You can't keep the parts of your history that are most important to you. In fact, I encourage you to pass on to your children, to their children, to your friends, your family, your heritage. Share with them your traditional foods and celebrations. Let them take part in your faith, with your language, and with your culture. And if you do all of those things, then you will truly be helping to make the United States a better, richer, and more diverse country for future generations to come. And I wish you luck on your continued journey. Now, if you're ready to join me in becoming a United States citizen, I ask that you please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combat service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations to America's newest citizen. And at this time, I will ask all of our guests to also please rise. We've got Annika from the Herrick Library going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So raise your right hand again and place it over your heart for me and face the flag.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And everyone may be seated other than the first row. First row, please stand. Remain standing. First row, stand up. We're going to start, we're going to call names, so we're going to have the whole first row just follow in the line like a snake. I'll hand your certificate, and then you'll continue down the line, go down the ramp, and then return back to your seats and have a seat, okay? Now, I apologize in advance if I mispronounce names. However, one key thing to note is all of your names are now American, so this is now the new pronunciation. So pay attention if you don't know how it's pronounced. All right. Maria Eugenia Ebby. Bridget Maria Schatz. Joe Carlos Baroni. Zaim Zodzen. Van Kam. Froilin Flores Pujon. Salustria Cruz Elizalde. Boris Strabak. Mylin Thi Huang. Hatu Hua. Melinda Jane Fillmore. Ravneet Kaur Rai. Roy Loom Lakai. Singh Atoy. Sanjay Earl Patra. Rebecca Lynn Patra. Lisbeth Margarita Cruz. Carlos Ezequiel Salaman Sapal. Nanita Pancho Decker. Efren Franco Mares. Katia Degazon. Lenore Jurado. Gregory Paul Engberg. Sergey Katambwe Raul Rojas Cabrera. Osvaldo Valdez Betancourt. Freddie Alfredo Mariquin Perez. Lloyd D. Nguyen. Sylvia Yanet Aguilar Diaz. Lian Kat Nguyen. Miriam Ramadhan. Juan Miguel Del Coto. Katie Claudia Carvalho Soto. Alexander Simon Van der Merwe.
You can, but you don't have to. When you guys go down through the center, you can jump back in, because I don't think anybody on that side.
Lai Zar Lunan. Rokadom Rat Sabon. Hasna Sharaj Adem. Rob Van Hassan. Bachul El Karsa. Mohammed Omeri. David Reyes Roman. Alfred Darrell Mandinka. Tho Huang Tran.
Yeah!
Syllable. Manuel Domingo Robles Gonzalez. Ana Alicia Ramos Grande. Antonio Sanchez Hernandez. Let's give a big round of applause. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you all go out and make the world a better place as American citizens. That concludes our ceremony. If the families would like to take pictures with any of the speakers, with the flag here, or out in the hallway, any of the nice decor or the Statue of Liberty sign, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much.